Oh, I was muted. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome, welcome. It's Asset Management Mondays. This is awesome. Our amazing guest is already here. I see if Hi, Nitzan. See a few new faces. So, and old Dan, where have you been? You've been MIA. Hi, Jeep Show. Nice to see you. Hey, hey. Alrighty. So let me share my screen for a bit. Trying to get Bibi into the room. All right. Alrighty. It's been a minute, but here we are. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I don't know if there's anyone on here for the first time for the asset management series. If you're here for the first time, put a 1 in the chat, tell us where you're from. I'm from Massachusetts. Nitzan, are you Florida? Ah, you're Florida. Well, those of us in Massachusetts hate people in
Yes.
Florida because tomorrow we have a snowstorm. We have like a foot of snow coming in. So yeah.
That's why I left New York, baby.
Oh Lord in heaven, listen. There's a good school system here. There's a rationale why some of us still live here. Um, so So today we're going to have a wonderful, wonderful progressive discussion. Oh, I see it. Oh, I see another Miami in the chat. Welcome. So this is the multifamily asset management Zoom series of the Multifamily Freedom Chasers platform. I know people are still trickling in, but we want to start because of time. Today, our focus will be on resilient asset management in changing markets, and we're going to be learning from a veteran that our paths crossed over the summer. And now my screen has frozen again. Give me 1 second. I apologize. This happened before. Let's see if that does it. No. And that went all the way through. Anyway, so let me keep talking just while my computer stops having a seizure. This Zoom is hosted by Bibi, Ofiri, and I would show you the slide where we're featured. Bibi, I don't know, my computer's having issues. Do you want to introduce yourself for those who are new while I'm trying to figure out what's going on here?
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's good to see every one of us again. We all know why we're here. We decided to, because we wrapped up with the series 1 of asset management, and we decided that it would be good that we have people that have gone through it as well, give you true life scenarios of things that has happened over the time that they've been in the multifamily space, the challenges, the good things, and how they've been able to overcome those challenges. So that is why we are having this meeting today, for you to ask questions. Don't be scared to ask your question. I came with loads of questions, like too many. So we'll be looking forward to those questions that you think you have. There is no non-serious question. I know some of you might say my question is not important. Just say it, and we'll answer it as best as we can. So my name is Bibi Ofiri. I started, my background was actually property management. I had a property management company for years before I relocated to the US, and I decided this time around I was not going to do property management. I was going to now be an investor. So that's my background, and that is should I put it this way, that is the should I say leverage I have, because I see things from different perspectives, not just from an investor's perspective, also from the property manager's perspective. And ever since then, I've been managing assets as well. So it's good to have Nitzan with us today. Nitzan, I don't know, you remember our first meeting? If when you're ready, just let me know. I'm just talking.
Sure.
It was about a property in Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania, yes.
Yes, and as I do with most, I think I turned it down.
Correct, yes. So let me give you the background of how I met Nitzan, and the reason why we also decided to bring him here. And we had an issue. Few days we went under contract on a deal, and for some reasons our KP pulled out, just like that. So we're in search for a new KP, and we started looking for different KPs, and that's how we met Nitzan. Nitzan was very kind to us in the sense that he was very accommodating. Very short notice, he jumped on the call. We had a conversation, but yes, we didn't do the deal together. Did not mean that we will not do businesses together in the future. But because of that conversation we had then, we said one of these days we'll invite him and we'll have a serious conversation. So that's why we're here today. He said, thank you for coming.
Is my screen being shared now? Awesome. All right. So Bibi told you about herself. My name is Ify. I'm based in Massachusetts. I'm a pharmacist, mom, limited partner, general partner. And because of time, I'm just gonna, oh Lord, don't tell me. Okay. Feel free to reach out to us. We're very active on our social media platforms. You can email us. We will respond. And for the Multifamily Freedom Chasers community, there is one more way of reaching out to us. We have a WhatsApp group. All these Zooms, this one, and the ones that run through the week, they are recorded and put on our YouTube channel. I think they also stream through Spotify as well. So you can reach us through there and through the WhatsApp group. But I think for now, that's all I'm going to share before my computer changes its mind again. And then we're just gonna, start chit-chatting with you, Nitzan. So Bibi said she had questions. It's kind of like Bibi, it's probably like an SAT type kind of questions. Before she does that, let me ask you, she's like nodding. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, yourself? Who's Nitzan? Who's a traveling investor? Tell us about your journey.
That's a great question. And first of all, Bibi and Ify, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it so much. It's an honor to be here. And for those of you listening, Bibi and Ify are great people. We had a great conversation, a few conversations about the property. I'm sorry I wasn't able to participate in that, but as you said, that doesn't stop us or preclude us from doing business in the future or in the present time. And I look forward to it because one of the beautiful things about what we do is we get to partner and do business with people that we like.
Yeah.
Right? How many of us have had that job? I know I did when I was working on Wall Street many, many, many moons ago when I was living in New York City. And the guys sitting to my right and sitting to my left and sitting to behind me, I just didn't want to be around them because they were, excuse my language, they were assholes. Right? And this is an industry here where we get to pick and choose who we want to work with. So it's fantastic. A little bit about me. Yes, I am originally from New York City, born and raised in Manhattan. Born in Brooklyn, raised in Manhattan, Lower East Side. I'm first generation American. My parents came over from Israel. They came to the United States with the idea of giving their children and their family a better life, right? The American dream that they had. My father never graduated the 6th grade. He was too busy building the country and the infrastructure and going to war and doing all that. My mother is a Holocaust survivor. She never graduated high school. She was running away from Europe during the persecution back then. But they did understand that coming to America was a way to achieve freedom, financial freedom. My father worked until the day he died to give his family, his children, a leg up, a start, a vision of what we can do if you just set your mind to it. You know, think about the obstacles that my parents had to overcome. They didn't speak the language, right? No words of English. They weren't educated. They didn't know how to, you know, my father couldn't put a pen and paper together and do long form math on pen and paper. But if you asked him how many containers were coming from China or from wherever, and they had 100,000 pieces, and they were this and they were that, blah 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 blah, how much do he would be able to do that math in his head? He understood people. He understood business. He understood how to present himself. All the workings of what it takes to be successful in here, and he wasn't afraid to take calculated risks. He wasn't afraid to take action. Uh, so you know, they moved to the U.S. I was born. I was raised in that family. I always say you know, we choose our parents, right? I'm so blessed to have chosen these two people to be my parents because of what they were able to instill in me and to my brothers. You know, my father used to tell us the wealthiest person on the planet is someone who owns a piece of land free and clear. You can do with it whatever you want. You can build on it. You can rent it. You can sublease it. You can. No one can take it away from you. It's yours, right? And so that mindset. I remember when I was growing up and I was in school and whatnot. My father always told me, "Go be a lawyer. Go study law. If you know the law, you can do whatever you want." Unfortunately, my ass didn't agree with him because I wouldn't have the ass to sit in school for that long and study and become a lawyer and whatnot. But I understood what he said. You know, when you learn something, when you learn the law, when you learn how things work, you have doors opening up to you. And that's kind of what he was saying behind that is go out there and network with people, be around people that know things that you don't know because they will help open doors and opportunities for you. I went to high school, and then after high school, I went to Israel. I did basic training in the Israeli army, and then came back and went to 4 years of university, and I partied for 4 years. I never graduated. I think I have a certificate waiting for me at the bursar's office. You know, the party certificate that they give to all the graduates. That's the certificate that's waiting for me. In When I was 25 in 1995, I'm giving away my age. My father passed away, and that kind of threw me for a down loop, you know, for a downward spiral. I didn't know what life was all about. You know, I saw this man from the day I was alive to the day he died. Get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go to work, come home, you know, stress, build, do, put together everything. He didn't stop. He didn't say, well, you know what, we're good and let other people, you know, I'm good where we are. He always pushed the envelope. And my mother as well. My mother had her own businesses, right? She closed her business to take care of her children while my father was out there working. So they both had the same focus of creating a better life for their children and their families and their generation moving down. When I came back, I went to Pace University in New York City. Like I said, I literally partied for 4 years. Uh, and at the age of 25, when that happened, I didn't know what life was all about. I kind of lost all hope. I lost all direction. You know, I said to myself, you know, I don't want to work till the day I die just for money or for all of that, because that's what was put into my head. You know, growing up in New York City, you know, I heard from multiple people, when money is out the door, love is right behind it, is not far behind it. That was the message that I was growing up with. Imagine that, right? So when my father died and I realized that life is too short, what are we doing? 2 years later, I packed my bags. I moved back to Israel. I hung out on the beach for about a year, watching the sun go up and down. Didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I worked odd jobs as like the repo man, collections guy, just things that didn't really fill the hole, didn't really feed my soul. And I was wondering, you know, what is life all about? And then I went traveling. I traveled for about 6, 7 years all around the world. I had 4 feet of dreadlocks. I had a big goatee. I was a traveling hippie at the time. I had no care in the world. I had no responsibilities. I had no one to look after. I had no bills to pay, no mortgages to pay, nothing. I disconnected myself from life and I went and I said, let's see what happens. And throughout that time, I learned a lot of life lessons, which I now put to use with my teenage daughters, with my relationship with my wife, with my relationships with my clients, with my investors, with my partners, with my business. And I started on that journey. In 2006, I opened up the first raw vegan restaurant in Israel. I was way, way ahead of the time. Today, Israel has the most vegan, is the number one vegan place in the world per capita. Meaning there are more vegans in Israel than anywhere in the world per capita. I was a little, too fast. I came too early, but it was a great restaurant. It was a lot of lessons learned. In 2009, when the market crashed, my wife and I, we kind of looked at each other. My wife is from Europe. She'd never been to the States. And we said, you know what? Let's go back. Let's see what happens. Two hippies seeing what goes on in life. We came to the United States. I told her anywhere but New York or California. Is anybody from New York and California? Sorry, but I was born and raised in New York. California, too far away from me, right? A lot of earthquakes, not crazy about earthquakes. So we decided in Florida. We decided to live in Florida. We bought a house that we live in now. And our game plan was to buy it for a year, live in it, fix it up, and then sell it, make some money, and go to New Zealand, go to Thailand, and just continue on our merry, happy, hippie way. Next thing we knew, our daughters were in school. I'm flipping houses. I'm doing deals left and right. Several years later, I'm on stage. I'm cutting my hair and donating the money to the Wounded Warrior Foundations. And next thing you know, I'm creating these companies and we're buying multi-million-dollar assets. And I'm going, how the hell did that happen? How did I go about doing it? How did that, And I remember when I had my long hair, people would come up to me at these networking events and go, who's giving you money? Who's trusting you with their properties with that head of hair? I was like, look, you know what? If the hair is stopping people from investing with me and doing deals with me, I'm okay with that, right? I don't want them to be in my deals anyway, right? Because I look for what's under the shell, right? The shell is just a shell, man. I want to know what's underneath that shell. I want to know the person. I want to know who you are, what you're capable of, what your goals are, what your values are, what your morals are, right? I want to know that we align together and then we can go out and do some great things. So 2009, I got back into real estate, and when I was living in New York at the time, I had a restoration and renovation company. I bought real estate with my brothers. We transformed three Civil War buildings in Manhattan, two in Soho and one in Chelsea. And they were loft rental spaces. Now, you guys know in New York City, you have rent control, rent stabilization, you have all these things that you can't kick people out of. So we were transforming those residential properties into commercial lofts. It took some time, but now we did it. And so I have a lot of experience, and I kind of joke, but it's true. I'm the youngest in my family of four boys. So during the summer, they would give me all the crappiest jobs to do, right? Go clean all the toilets, go knock down all the walls, go clean up all the garbage, go retar all of those water towers that you see on the buildings in New York. So that was my education into real estate, right? And then when I came back, I started flipping houses because I knew how to do that. And I had a little rental here and a little rental there. But what I noticed after a couple of years of doing this was that everybody was suddenly starting to flip houses. Everybody was coming to the market. And I remember one specific property that really made the shift for me. The realtor that I was working with, she sends me a property. She goes, "Oh, this is perfect for you. It's half of the house was burnt, gone, destroyed. Only half of the building is left standing." I made an offer for $100,000 and bids were coming in 150, 200, 250, 300. And that's when I realized that people that had no idea what they were doing were now real estate investors, and they were ruining it for us because there was no way that house was worth more than what it is. And being the lazy guy that I am, I wanted to find something that I could do once and it would keep feeding me over and over again. And I like the rental idea, right? You buy a house, you put somebody in there and they pay for your expenses, and that delta of what's left over is mine to keep. The problem is I would take all my money from flipping and then I'd buy a rental, and guess what? No more money. Then I have to go figure out, maybe do a hard money loan and then get a private investor and flip another house and, do 4 or 5 flips until I got some more money and then did it again. I bought a fourplex on the wrong side of town. They say, the D assets, and they call it D because the D stands for do not buy. Don't buy in that area, right? And the fourplex, I'll tell you, is great. It's the classic story. Those 4 units. One unit I had the drug dealers. The other unit I had a lady of the night. The other unit I had her boss, and then I had a single mom with her daughter in the other one. Now, when they were paying rent, it cash flowed beautifully. But I didn't want to be that property owner, right? I didn't want to own those types of assets. I did, because the single mom kept calling me, said, listen, I have a young daughter and all these guys hanging out here and the woman next door and the guy and this and that, blah, blah, blah. So I started to change the demographics of the residents, right? I got the drug dealers out. I got the lady of the night and her guy, and I started shifting the demographics. And I realized that, you know what, I just wanted out. So I sold it, but I learned a lot of lessons. The one lesson that I learned was from one of my mentors when he was talking about OPM, right? Now, think about it. People living, we have people here from all the way from New York to California, which is awesome. How many times have you walked down your city and you're looking at all these major, huge skyscrapers, and you're going, who the hell has so much money to buy these buildings or to build them, right? When I was a kid in New York City, walking down the streets, I'm looking at the Empire State Building, at the Twin Towers, at this skyscrapers, at the Met Building, and I'm going, what are these people doing that they have so much money, so much extra money that they can go out and build these with their own money, with their own pockets? How do they do this? And then I learned about this thing called OPM, other people's money. I learned about syndication. And FYI, do you guys know that the Empire State Building was bought through a syndication? That's right. It's a syndicated property.
Oh, really?
Most of the buildings in New York are either JVs or syndications. Who's got $300 million just sitting in their back pocket? I mean, there are a lot of people with that money, but
not
why
for
would,
one year.
right, but why would you want to put all your money in one deal, right? You want to diversify, you want to spread it out. Let's get other people in, right? So you put in a little bit of money, but it has more buying power when you're doing this syndications. And I remember the day I was sitting in front of that room listening to my mentor talk, and it was as if the heavens opened up, because at that time, my future seemed not as great. Yeah, it was great. I was flipping houses, doing one here, one there. I had a rental here, had a rental there. I needed more, right? I was out of the business world for 15 years. Think about that. Imagine cutting 15 years out of your life, not doing anything. Well, not doing it, but not working in business. I was traveling, I was learning, I was expanding, I was doing business, I had other businesses in other countries and where I was traveling to and so forth. But I was out of the business world for 15 years, and I needed to speed up. I needed to flatten that curve. And when I heard him talking about get other investors into your deals, I was like, dude, that's it. That's the secret. That's how you scale. That's how you become wealthy. That's the secret. And ever since then, I put together teams of people that have helped me, and I've helped them achieve success and grow and just really build empires together. That's what I'm all about. Sorry that took so long.
No,
No,
that was helpful.
no, that was you took us through a journey. So that was important for us to know.
Yeah.
And know that Ife, do you want me to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so why we're here today is really to discuss the trends that's happening in the market and how you as an assets manager or an operator is trying to figure out those things. So now my first question to you is, how adaptable is your asset management strategies to evolving market conditions? So Yes, so what are you doing? What are the new things you're putting in place? Because the market of 2020 and the market of now is different. The market of 2008, 2009 is different from now. So what strategies are you putting in place? Don't mind
That's a
my.
great question. That's a great question. You got a little guess.
Yes,
That's
I do.
awesome. That's awesome. She's starting early. I love it. I love it. That's a great question. You know, so we have asset management and we have property management, right? Asset management sits above your property manager, right? So you've got the owner operators, the GPs that we talk to, the asset managers talk to the property managers, or to the regionals talk to the property managers, and so forth. And you have that hierarchy of conversation. So when it comes to asset management is doesn't really change from the way we look at it, right? Because asset management is talking to the owner's group, and saying, what are your goals for this asset? What are you looking to achieve? And then the asset manager works with the regional and the property managers to make that happen, right? We need to hit certain KPIs, right? You know, our delinquency has to be X, Y, and Z. Our income has to be X, Y, and Z. Our vacancy has to be X, Y, and Z. We want to, on a quarterly basis, we have to increase rents at this level and this stage and so forth. And by this time next year, this is where we want to be. So the asset manager is the one that is kind of making sure that the property management team on site is doing everything that they can and giving them the tools and assisting them, right? Now, as ownership, yes, 2008, 1997, you know, I mean, I remember my father, rest his soul, 1988. Some of you probably weren't even alive then, you know, interest rates. You guys are crying about 6% interest rates. Oh my God. 18%. Imagine if you have $100,000 loan, you're paying close to 20 grand a year just on your mortgage payment. Right?
I remember in 2000, my parents got their house for 8% at that time.
Mm-hmm.
8%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
But you know what else is that houses today that are $1 million were $100,000 back then.
Yes.
Right? But still, people weren't making as much as they are today to be able to pay those $20,000 a year just for your mortgage payment. So it's crazy, right? So in every market, right, you have to have, for lack of a better word, you got to have that vision, right? It's chess. You're playing chess. You're a chess master. What are some of the best or the best chess masters out there in the world? Why are they the best? Because they can look out 20 to 35 moves ahead. They already know, well, if you do this, I'm going to do this. And then if you do that, I'm going to do that. And if that happens, I'm going to do like this and blah, blah, right? So you break out different scenarios of what could go wrong, and you create your backup plans for every scenario. You have plan A. What happens if? What happens if? This is what happens if plan A happens. What happens if plan B happens? What happens if plan C happens? And you have to have that vision to understand that, you know, stuff will happen, right? You have to be prepared for it. How well you're prepared is how well you can overcome that. One of the ways of being prepared for all of that is by buying right. Okay. How do you buy right? Well, we have to know what the market is doing. We have to know what the industry is doing. We have to listen, right? We have to listen. So many people today are not listening. They're going out going, I know. They go out, they buy, hoping, which is a very bad word in the real estate world, or very bad in the investment world, that word hope, right? Oh, I hope if I buy this asset, I hope we'll be able to do this and this and this, right? You want to buy conservatively, because when you're buying conservatively, if there are any hiccups along the way, and you bought it conservatively and your numbers were conservative and you have backups, you're able to ride out any storm and come out on the other side a little weathered, right? A little gray, right? We have that little gray here, right? But able to save the asset, right? The one thing that we as owner operators and asset managers have to understand is that it's all about the property. It's not about my property manager. It's not about my investors. It's about the property. And what do I mean by that? If the property succeeds, guess who succeeds? We all succeed. The property manager has a job. The tenants have a great place to live. The asset looks good. Your investors are well taken care of because the asset is successful and we're not losing. We're not going into foreclosure. We're not, right? We're not doing any of that. So it's all about the property, the asset itself, and making sure that the asset is successful, right? So when you have to understand, the market cycles, right? There's the expansion, then there's contraction, there's job loss, there's job gain, there's, how long are properties staying on the market? How many properties are coming to market, right? Days on market is huge, not just for single family, but also for commercial. In the height of the market, when things are flying off the shelf in a seller's market, right? When you're right at the top of the cusp of the market, properties are, before they're even blown on the market, they already have 5 offers. Why? Because the brokers know that I'm going to send this to my 10 best buyers and it'll be gone like that. But when the market starts to soften, starts to shrink, where people are leaving the market, jobs are being lost, companies are being shut down, what happens? Now properties are staying on the market longer. Now owner operators, we're going to the brokers and we're going, listen, I want you to blast this out to 35,000 people, your entire mailing list, because bring us offers, right? And we'll start going highest and best, what's your this, what's that, right? And then we go into a buyer's market. So understanding your market cycle is a strategy to be able to navigate through those crazy waters of turbulent, markets, right? So understanding now, the entire country doesn't follow that rule of every market is at the same place on the market cycle, right?
No.
Miami is one place on that market cycle. Biloxi, Mississippi could be on another format, right? Iowa could be in a different, and forget even Iowa, but different markets in Iowa, different cities, right?
So you're saying that every market is local, so we should treat it as local, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'll give you an example. Miami. I get deals in Miami. I just got a deal, not in Miami, but in Hollywood, which is 20 minutes north of Miami and whatnot, right? A 1948 construction for $365,000 a door. Okay. Now, that's a market where people buy that kind of stuff in that market. But if someone comes in from, I don't know, from Arkansas and goes,
Yeah, no.
what? That's crazy. I would never buy that. Why? Because in Arkansas, right? You're buying for that price, you're buying a brand new construction.
Yeah.
Right? You're buying a Class A that's being built right now. It's not even finished.
Yeah.
In Miami, you're buying a 1948 product for that. If you're going to buy a 2024 product in Miami, ooh, that's way more, right? So you really have to understand your market. And also you have to understand what your buying strategy is going to be in that market. How many people we're 24, how many people in 2021 and 2022 went out and bought a property at a 3 cap going, oh, we'll be able to sell this for 3 cap in the next 12 to 24 months, no problem, because the market, and they were just, right?
I'm happy.
And what happened?
Yeah.
They got caught with their pants down. And now they're going into foreclosure, they're going into bankruptcy, they're doing capital calls, they're doing all this. Why? Because they weren't paying attention to the market. They weren't listening, they weren't observing, they weren't watching what everybody was going on. And I'll tell you, I was in that market and I'm going, Man, that guy just made $4 million in 6 months. Holy cow. That guy just made $12 million in 12 months. Holy cow. And then boom, it stopped,
I'm
right?
happy you brought that out because what we are seeing right now is people that got very low cap rates, like 4%, 3% cap rates, are all in the market now looking for buyers. Now, during that time, we know a lot of people bought. Let's assume you bought during that time. What would you be doing at this time? Let's
Be
assume you
crying.
bought. Yes, what would
I'd
you
be
be doing?
rolled up in a ball in my living room crying.
He'll be distressed.
Exactly. The property won't be distressed. I would be distressed. But what are people doing? What are people doing? Um, they're um, they're 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 doing capital calls.
Yeah.
They're looking to refinance with a capital call, going, listen, investors, we can get into another loan. It's going to be a little bit higher. LTV is going to be higher, but it won't cash flow anymore. They're, what? They're screwed.
Mm.
They're
Ni-
screwed. They
Nitzan,
got to negotiate with their lenders now for a way out.
Mhm.
for those who are, relatively new in this space, where would you recommend that they go, or what resource should they be using to keep their finger on the pulse, right? You're saying pay attention, read, look at, is there a place you recommend? Is there a one-stop shop? Should they be on CNBC? Where should people be going?
That's a great question. So what I would recommend is for all the people that are getting started, go to all of the main commercial brokerage websites, the Marcus and Millichap, the Franklin Streets, the CBRE, the Coldwell Bankers, even the smaller ones, the Capstones. Sign up on their website. What they do all the work for us. They have these economists, right? And economists are economists, right? It's just strategies and it's a lot of guesswork. But they're out there, they have the pulse, the thumb on the pulse of the market. They know what buyers are looking for. They know what the capital markets are doing, what the mortgage companies are doing. So get their reports, read them, go on LinkedIn, join all these different, you know, forums where people are talking, right? Find people who are successful, are doing what you want to do, and are putting out information, and just listen to them. I mean, listen, we've moved into now the student housing world. Why? Because multifamily is up in roars, right? It's turning over. It's a big mess. Student housing has been outperforming multifamily. Why? Demand drivers. We always look for job growth, right? Well, job growth, people now, people expenses. They can't pay for food. They can't pay for this. They can't pay for that. They're moving in together. But what? Students always need a place to live. Students going to tier 1 universities have parents who are making money.
You
And
just
they
took
want
the
to.
you just took the word. Sorry, we'll just be interjecting frequently, so please just
Sure,
be able
no,
to
no, no,
hear.
absolutely.
You just took the word from my mouth because I know that you one of the assets you like is student housing, and that's one of the assets I love as well. So it's very important that people understand that market. So the question I want to ask you is, what would you do differently if student housing takes a turn? In the sense that we have another COVID again, students have to go home. What would be your strategy at that time?
That's why we love student housing.
So tell us.
Because during COVID, guess what? The parents were on the hook for the rent.
Correct.
Now, I had a friend of mine had 3 kids in college, and they were, one was in Colorado, one was in Orlando, one was in Tallahassee, somewhere. 3 students,
Yes.
3 rents that they were paying, and their kids were living at home at the time during COVID. And he sends me the leases, and he goes, Nitzan, you're in this business. Do me a favor. I'm. What am I doing here? Check the leases. See what I can do to get out of it. I read the leases. I said, my friend, The only thing that you can do to save your credit is pay the rent. Maybe negotiate with the landlord. Maybe the landlord's nice. Maybe they'll do something. They don't have to. They're not bound by any law to give you your money back and to let you out. However, if you don't pay, guess what happens? They send you to collections, they ding your credit, and now you as the parent have bad credit. What happens then? You want to get a loan for your car? Your interest rates are going to be higher. You want to refi your mortgage or get a HELOC? Your interest rates are higher. Your insurance premiums go higher. Everything now goes up because you have bad credit. So with student housing, the parents are on the hook.
Mm-hmm.
But even with COVID, parents had to pay. And when you're in tier 1, which are like class A schools and class A properties, you're having a different demographic of residents than you do in your C properties, right? I had C class properties during COVID. And when they were getting money from the government, guess what they would spend their money on? Nails, eyelashes, extensions, sneakers, right? Oh, I just got a new fin for my car. I'm like, yeah, but you owe 6 months of rent. Oh, no, dude, but check out my car, man. My car is decked out now. Different mentality,
Yeah.
right? So you also have to understand the demographics of who you're working with when you're buying these assets. But to answer your question, if student housing doesn't work, let's say it kind of shifts and whatnot, and suddenly no more students are going to school, then we as a team have to look and evaluate what is the next best asset class to invest in.
Okay.
Right? We are like the skippers of the ship,
Yes.
pilots of the plane, right? What do you hear when you're on the plane, right? Oh, hello everyone. This is the captain speaking. We have some turbulent air, about 2 miles from now. So what we're going to do is we're going to climb to 30,000 feet. We're going to bank right, and we're going to go around the storm, and then we're going to level off, and it'll be smooth sailing, right? We have to have that vision to understand that we want to shift into this new asset class before it tanks. Because if it tanks, then you're already.
Sorry, I'm going to be because
No. Go ahead. I didn't hear
so
you.
that brings me to another question. Communication. We are seeing limited partners, investors paying the highest price right now because foreclosure is here and so many things are not going as usual. I have a deal I appealed on, and I showed Ify yesterday and I said, Ify, 2 years, we're not going to get any. They just told us for 2 years, you're not going to get anything. And it was so bold and staring in our faces. And so what are the communication strategies that when there's a turbulence, like you're having issues on your, or not you, maybe your colleague, somebody is having issues on their what advice, how would you advise them to communicate to their investors on a serious issue like this?
Okay, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. If you're paying out distributions and you're so with communications, it's okay. Why? Because we're getting paid. Investors are making money. Okay, I don't mind. I'm getting paid. All right. If you're holding back distributions and you're not communicating, ooh, that's when you start walking in quicksand, right? Because now you're starting to think, and the more you move and the more you don't talk and the more you hide things from your investors, right? Because if you're not communicating and you're not paying, people are starting to think, well, Nitzan sold the property, took my money, and went to Mexico. I don't know, right? I don't know. There's no communication. So when you're not paying distributions, over communicate. Send out letters, send out emails. Hey guys, this is what's going on. This is where we are. And you know what? It's okay not to pay distributions, because what was one of the first things I said? What is the most important thing to take care of?
The asset, the product.
The asset. Because I may not be able to pay you now, but what we're doing is we're taking care of the asset. We're gonna position ourselves that when the trouble times are over, we're gonna bounce back, and we're gonna bounce back so strong that we're gonna be able to sell it, and we'll be able to recover. And again, why? Because we bought it conservatively, right? So you want to communicate. And what I like to do is I like to communicate. I send out a video, a Zoom video. We do a webinar. I invite my investors. We do a Zoom webinar. And it doesn't have to be 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour long. Hi, we're talking about the property. This is the situation. This is where we're at. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. You've heard in the news. We've seen what's going on. COVID, they shut us down, blah, 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 blah. This is how we're taking care of the situation. This is how we're managing the asset. This is how we're protecting your money by doing X, Y, and Z to the asset with the property management company. Now you have to communicate also with the property management company, with your asset manager, and going, this is what we have to do in this time, right? Because property managers, they're property managers, right? We need them. They are a huge source of information, right? They know the market. They know other property managers in the area. They talk, blah, 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 but they're not owner operators. They don't have investors breathing down their throats. They don't have a game plan of what they want to do. Okay, tell me what we need to do and we'll raise rents. You want to, and most property managers, if you don't tell them, hey, we got to push rents $150 in the next 6 months with everybody, they're just going to do their normal $50 increase, bump it up, bump it up, bump it up, bump it up. But we have to communicate not only with the investors, but with the property manager, regional manager, and the asset manager as well. So everybody knows what we're doing. Remember, you're the pilot, you're the skipper of the ship. You don't have to do everything, but you gotta let everybody know what course we're going to set and what direction we're going in, and what that means for all the players on the team. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I do have a question, and then I think we should start taking questions from the audience. So have you had to pivot? You talked about being a chess player, being X number of moves ahead. And can you give us an example where, the plan was A, but you ended up on plan D?
B and C and D and E.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, it started out when I was flipping homes, right in the beginning. And when I went to that burnt house and I freaked out, I go, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Everybody's chiming in. I can't buy that house for $250,000. I want to do that. I have to pivot. What am I going to do? Right? So what did I do? I looked and I said, okay, what's the next step? I said, well, I can still buy properties. I don't have a lot of money, but what could I do? Maybe I buy a duplex, maybe buy a fourplex, maybe I get some rental income if my flips aren't going to be that many. I need to create income. So what kind of income do I want? Well, let's create some passive income. Okay, so I bought a quad. I bought a duplex. I bought a couple of single family homes, right? I did that. And then I looked at that and I said, okay, that's great. However, in my backyard, which is, South Florida, prices are starting to go up, right? Duplexes for $1 million? Oh, what? A duplex for $1 million? I mean, geez, that means that the rent has to be $5,000 a month to cover each unit. And so, that was another pivot. And then I said, okay, how do I get into bigger stuff? Because I want to make more money. I want to create more generational wealth. I want to do something else. So then I had to pivot. So now with that pivot came education. I had to learn. I had to learn about property management on a higher scale. I had to learn about asset management on a higher scale. I had to learn about the legalities of raising money from other people, right? Because I was raising money for my fix and flips, but that was easy. It was a couple of guys, operating agreement, boom, we went, right? Even though it should have been a syndication, but they were my friends, right? We were friends investing together. So then I said, well, how can I get my friends to come in and invest in these bigger deals? Well, I had to learn about syndication. I had to learn what was a syndication. I didn't know about that, right? Then when multifamily started to shift a little bit, I went and I said, let's look at hospitality a little bit. Went and looked at hospitality. I bought a hotel. I said, you know what? I don't like hospitality. Not for me. Too many moving parts, too much. It's too volatile. Not for me. Shifted back into multifamily, continued multifamily. Then I said, you know what? Everybody's buying all these big multifamilies, 100, 200 units. I am competing with bigger owner operators that have more money, and I'm losing constantly on my offers. How could I shift? Well, wait a minute. What asset classes, what sizes aren't people looking at? Let me look. 40, 50, 60, 70. No one was buying. I bought a 40 unit. I bought a 50 unit. I bought a 70 unit. I bought 100, boom, boom. Then I started getting a little portfolio of smaller properties and manage them in one area, right? Sold those off. Why? Because there was a seller's market in those markets. People were throwing money at me. Of course, I'm going to sell it. And now and then the last 2-3 years with the cap rates being so low, 3 caps, interest rates, all of that, I took a step back. I said, you know what? Not for me. Not for me. Right? Why? There are people that like the very risky assets, right? They'll go in and buy, the stocks that you got to look at it, and if you miss it by a second, you lost, right? That volatile, we're on it, right? I'm more risk adverse. I like to sleep at night. I'm the conservative guy, the long haul, right? What are we doing? I'm not that guy. I can't, if I would have bought a property at a 3 cap, at 3%, with those interest rates and whatnot, and hard money, I would not have been able to sleep well at all.
Yeah.
So
Because
have there been any, because I want to just rephrase the question again. Have there been any time you are currently on a deal and you had to pivot, like you had a business plan, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but something happened and you just needed to. So
Sure. We got
yes.
into a project that we wanted to renovate. We were working on getting all the permits. This is when we had the property under contract. Okay. When we had the property under contract, one of the requirements for us to close was that we would get all the permits, variances, all of the zoning, all of the code, ready so that when we close, we're able to go, because the lenders that were going to fund this for us needed to see all of that. So during the time that we were working with the city and the county to get all the approvals and the site plans and everything changed and whatnot, markets started to shift. Markets started to soften a little bit. People starting to look at the project going, it's a good project. It's not a fantastic deal.
Yeah.
So now what we're looking at is going, okay, so maybe we go and we flip it. Maybe we sell it to somebody. Maybe we do something else with it. But you have to have those different exit strategies aligned and ready to go before you go under contract, right? The success in real estate is knowing the end before you even get into it.
Thank you so
Right?
much. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Bibi, can I start taking?
Yes. That's why I said.
All right. So I know that Lisa, I know you had your hand up. If you still have a question, you can put your hand up. But let me start from the top. Stephanie's asking, what software do you like to use for asset management, Nitzan?
That's a good question. For asset management, what do we use for asset management? I should have had my asset manager on this for this.
There's some newer ones that have come out on the market.
There's all kinds of software. Look, you have to understand, the bigger project, it depends on the deal size, on how many properties you have in your portfolio. And you have all of these property management softwares out there. You have Yardi, you have Buildium, you have Appfolio, Entrata, you have all these different softwares. So it really is, and if you're going to start asset managing versus property managing, and you've never asset managed before, and you're thinking, that's an easy job. Go work with an asset manager. Okay. Go understand what they do. Understand how closely they work with property managers, what kind of reporting they have to create, because they have to answer to the owners,
Yeah.
right? So there's tons of software out there. Everybody likes it, and there's new software coming out. There's new platforms for investor relations as well. There's tons, but it's not about the software, it's about the knowledge, about the experience, about knowing how to asset manage correctly.
All right, awesome. Thank you. When you were talking about distributions being paused, how often do you suggest that asset managers hold meetings with investors if distributions are paused?
Asset managers never hold meetings with investors. Your asset manager is only for the GPs, for the day-to-day. The GPs will communicate with the owner, with the investors. I never let my property manager talk to my investors. I never let my asset managers talk to my investors. The only time is if we're doing a property tour, okay?
Okay, listen, invariably what you are saying is that your asset manager is a third party, not a member of the GP.
That's right.
Okay.
Now, you can have my asset manager is part of my team. He's part of is a GP. He's part of my company, though. He's not, meaning that if we sell this property, he's still in my team on the next property that we buy and acts as my asset manager. Because why? Because he's got 25 years as an asset manager. Right? I'm not going to let someone who's a GP who's never done asset management go, hey guys, I'm a GP in your deal now, so I'm going to asset the man. I'm going to be the asset manager.
We see
Sorry.
that happening. We see people that feel because they raised maybe the entire money, saying that they have to be asset managers without even having a single experience. We are seeing that real time happening, you know.
Imagine if you got on a plane and you're sitting down and the pilot comes on and says, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? My name's Nitzan. I've never flown a plane before, but I bought a ticket. I'm going to fly the plane. I'm going to make sure you guys get there safely and sound. You're like, no, dude.
Ain't happening.
Not happening. Prove to me you know how to manage my properties. Prove to me that you have a success track record of working with property managers to get the most out of them. Right? Because the asset manager, more than anything, right, has to run the numbers, has to look at the spreadsheet, but you got to manage these people as well, right? The numbers and the people are the two most important things.
Yes.
Okay.
So sorry, before you call the net, I just want to clarify the asset management thing. So guys, asset management just depends on your team, how you believe you want to structure your team. It can be internal, meaning your GPs can be your GPs with experience can be the asset manager, or you can get a third party asset manager. I don't know how many of you were in our meeting the last time. The lady that we invited, she's a GP as an asset manager, and some of our portfolios, she's a third party asset manager for those properties. So depending on the structure you have, yes, that is how you can communicate to your investors.
And when you're underwriting, I see this so many times with people coming to me and going, hey, check out my underwriting, check out our financial model. I see many times people leave out that line item for an expense for an asset manager, right? You need to have your expense. You need to have that in there,
Yes.
right? For a couple of reasons. One, it's an expense that you're gonna have to incur, right? But also when you're raising capital and you're going to your investors, a savvy investor is going to look through your line items and go, who's going to be asset managing the property?
Yes.
You? Okay. Are you doing it for free? Oh, you're doing it for free? You must not be a good asset manager.
Nah.
Right? Think about that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Lisa.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for the information. I just wanted to go back to the point about the student housing. One of the things to be really conscious of is the student housing did not have the application processes that we've had in place for fraud. and they started taking on non-students. So when you're looking at your student housing properties, one of the things you want to really keep in mind is the non-student to student ratio and how they were qualified for those student housing. So that in some cases, in some markets right now, student housing is booming, but it's booming because it's fraud applications that are not being properly vetted and
What do you
not
mean by
going.
fraud applications? I'm sorry.
So currently, right now, we're in a scenario where there are syndications out there that are actually putting in fraudulent applications, which are fake individuals. And those fake individuals are, in some cases, maybe changing their complete identity. It could be just fake paperwork. There's a really large syndication, one of them being out of Atlanta, that is actually focused on defrauding our industry. So we've got vendors that are in the industry now that are creating software and products for us to be able to go back and properly vet those applicants, but it's a work in progress. So what you're going to start to see, unfortunately, is because the fraud is about a 6-year process. They've been using, in some cases, bots to fill out applications online, etc. So what I would encourage you to do as part of your due diligence, or something that you would need to look into, is their application process and how long those screening processes have been in place. But why I said this and what triggered it is for the student housing specifically, they've never had a very strong rental criteria application process. And a lot of people assumed what they have guarantors, but what if the guarantors are fake as well? So you have to keep in mind that you've got those in your game plan. It's not every university, it's not all properties, but it is at about a 40% saturation right now. That's the highest we've seen probably in my career. So I just wanted to give that side note. And then the other question about the actual softwares that are coming out for asset management, there's actually a lot of business intelligence tools. They call them BI. And those actually are the next layer above Yardi. And they're actually being able to aggregate all the data into one dashboard. And those dashboards are able to then give you a snapshot or overview of an entire portfolio. And if you're not providing that to your asset management now, I highly recommend it. I can help you with that as well. But the second and the final thing with that is a new thing has come out. It's called fractional asset managers. And that are the top asset managers in our industry are now loaning themselves out to 5, 6, or 8, or 10 companies instead of just focusing on one company. And you may need to bring in a fractional asset manager for a distressed site or to save sites. So keep that in mind if you have a specific need where you may not hire somebody permanently, but on a temporary basis to assist with asset management.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Lisa is, she works with an IT organization that what they're doing is to create softwares that can help asset managers and even property owners to manage their properties effectively. I've had a one-on-one conversation with her, and she spoke to us about very beautiful softwares that asset managers should be introducing into their businesses. So I understand where she's coming from. So thank you so much, Lisa, for all your recommendations. So if you're an asset manager and you need to up your game, please talk to Lisa. She's going to guide you and direct you on the new technologies that you can use for your assets management.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. It's Lisa Russell CAPS, CAPS. That's my certification. I put it at the end of my name, but it's capital CAPS. And I'm happy to answer anybody's questions.
Thank you
And
so much. But for those of you, for those of you that cannot afford it, most property management softwares right now, like Entrada just introduced their BI. Apollo has their own BI. You just need to ask the back end people that you need that software integrated into your software application. And with that, you can start to synchronize all your KPIs. You see everything on your dashboard. So if you can do that, you can as well do it with your software, the software applications that you're using.
And the additional thing that I am bringing to the market is also AI asset management. So the AI asset management actually goes above and beyond. There's no really any more reporting. You actually have a co-pilot, to his example, to a pilot,
So
and
they're
the
replacing us, right? They're
the co-pilot,
right?
it goes right along with the theme, but the co-pilot actually just actually answers questions based on all of the property data that it's given. So you have even the next level is coming. So you have the BI tools and the AI, which are coming for the asset management benefit.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, put your info if you can in the chat.
I just sent you a connection on LinkedIn, Lisa.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Hi, Van.
Hello there. Thank you so much for having me. And let me ask you the questions. So talking about the asset management. So in the original group of you get together and fundraising and identify the property and analyze and underwrite the property. Which part of that you decide to hire together the property management or the asset management people taking care of that part? Because right now, like say this, I see the deal right now. The owner bought the property out of want to invest, but have no business into the real estate. So for the last 10 years, he keep paying off. Look like the money coming in, but on paper, but then I check it out, the financial things, the property management charging property management fee, and they have the employee on it, and they have the everything on it. So I just wonder, like, how I can break it up that one. Is that
So you as the property pays for the employees, not the property management company. You pay a property management fee to the property management company to manage the employees, who are the property manager, the leasing agent, the regional sometimes that comes. You'll probably have to pay for their travel expenses and so forth. And you'll have to pay for the asset management. All this has to be in your financial model, in your underwriting.
because I talked to the seller, they say they don't have anyone, no manager on there. They hired the management company to do it. And that's
Right.
why I'm like, why do I see the management fee plus the employee, the W-2 and the whole 9 yard? And I just wonder, like, if they manage that, or the seller owner now have no idea what he's doing.
No, that's the way it is. You hire a property management company, and the property management company will hire a property manager that the property pays for.
Okay, I see.
You as the owner can then go out and either work with the property management company. They have an asset manager in-house that they work with. You can talk to them, or you bring a third-party asset manager to work with the property manager.
Oh, I see. Because I came to visit and look like they hesitate to let me to go through the paperwork.
They're
All the
probably hiding
financial
something.
things.
They're probably hiding something.
That's why I'm like, it doesn't make sense, because it come out now as a negative all this year. Although it's showing, I know. That's why I just wonder, I'm like, who structured that? Because owners say, oh, I leave to them. They do know what they want to do. And it come out negative. That's why I just wonder how it works.
Well,
So-
that's the problem. That's the problem. You as an owner, okay, so, going back to the pilot and the skipper of the ship, right? You're the owner. If you don't keep your people in check, they're going to do whatever they want. Right? And that's where the horror stories come in. You hear, right? And that's why when we teach people how to find distressed sellers, one of the distressed seller categories is out-of-state owners.
Mhm.
Why? Because they leave it all up to the property manager, the asset manager. They go do what you want to do. I'm out. I don't care. Blah. And then and then you see, I'll give you an example. We hired a property management company that for a 60, 70 unit property, which couldn't hold a full-time property manager or a full-time maintenance. So they had they had the revolving manager and revolving maintenance guy. So the property manager would always call in a third-party vendor to come in and to do work. I'm looking at the financials and I'm going, excuse me, we would charge $150 for someone to come and change 2 light bulbs on the property? What? Well, we had to call the vendor, and then the vendor had to come out, and then they had to go and buy the light bulbs, and then they had to go. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. But if you're not on top of that, and you're not talking to them on a weekly basis, forget monthly, forget quarterly. You ought to be on a weekly conversation. Even if you have an asset manager, you get the asset manager, you get the property manager on a call on a weekly basis, and you go, okay, what's going on with the property? Why will we charge $150 to change 2 light bulbs? Now, someone who's not interested in the property will just let it go, and that's what happens. Next thing you know, they're negative because their expenses are out of whack. Their collections aren't quality. Their tenants aren't quality. Like Lisa said, they're not probably looking at the application process very, very well. So they're just putting people, whoever they can. Maybe they're just putting fake people in. If you stay in this business long enough, you're going to see everything, right? And that's why you want to do surprise visit. Many people tell me, oh, I don't like to surprise them. It's not nice, and maybe give a bad feel to the property manager that we're surprising them, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, okay. I still surprise them. You know why? Because you don't know what's going on when you're not there. So before I go to the property, I'll drive around the property. I'll walk the property. I want to see how dirty it is. I want to see how clean it is. I want to see, have they been taking care of the roofs and the gutters and the landscaping and are there any cars that are being worked on in the parking lot? Are they right? I want to check all that. Then I go into the management office. Hi, I'm here. How many property managers I've walked in on, and they go, who are you?
Yes.
I go, I'm the owner, Jack.
Yes.
You don't know who the owner is. That's first, okay? First and foremost, right? Then I've had property managers that kind of just toss me keys. Oh, here are the vacant units. Go ahead, go walk. It's also another thing, right? But what do? I walk in. Hi, I'm Nitzan. I'm the owner. Nice to see you. I come with my printout of the rent roll of the vacant units as well. And I go, why don't we go walk the vacant units first? You know how many times I've knocked on the door and someone opens the door and I'm going, that's vacant. How long you been living here? 6 months. Oh shit.
Let me give you a story that happened a few months ago. There was a vacant unit and was vacant for 1 year. And guess what? The property manager put his girlfriend there for 1 year. They had a baby there until the owner decided to step in after 1 year and was walking the property and noticed that the house was occupied. After 1 year, he didn't get rent. That was the only vacant unit on that property for 1 year. I mean, during that time for 1 year. So these things happen.
And that's why you have to go and you have to talk to your property manager once a week. You got to get your vacancy report, your delinquency report, your box scores, your rent roll, your MMR. You guys know what an MMR is? MMR stands for Monday Morning Report. It can come on Tuesday, it can come on Wednesday. I don't care what day you get it, right? But you want that Monday morning report. And you want that Monday morning report to tell you everything. How many people came to the property? Where do they come from? How many applications? How many denials? Why were they denied? Right? What's your occupancy? What's your vacancy? Notice to vacate, occupied, notice to vacate, whatever it is, right? Work orders. What is your renewal for the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? want all that on your dashboard so that you can quickly look and go, let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about this. You go, and then you check your vacancy report and you go, that unit has been empty for 9 months. Why? Or as Bibi said, been vacant for a year. Why haven't we turned this unit yet? Well, you know, the mold and really, how come we haven't taken care of the mold in 12 months?
Hmm.
So then what happens? Then you get in a car, you get on a plane, and you surprise them. Bye.
And that is the beautiful part about syndication. When you have a team, so what are the different aspects in asset management? You have, depending on how you want to structure it, you have the boots on ground, you have the financial people, you have the asset manager themselves, you have a construction person. So depending on the deal that you're doing. So if you have those kind of people, your boots on ground should be boots on ground, not boots in their house, boots on ground. You know, so these are the people that will put their eye down to see what exactly the property manager is doing on a
So
part-time
on
basis.
this scenario right here, if you are the buyer, look into it and you know there is the potential that you can fix it and make it better, how do you underwrite a deal like that? Even you know that they steal for years and have mismanagement. So how would you approach that and make offer? That's
Well,
my
that's your upside, right?
right.
That is the business plan. That's
Yeah,
the
but the
plan.
same time right now, look like I asking for the financial statement and they couldn't provide that. And it gives
Okay. So you
Yeah.
got to tell the broker, if you're working with a broker, you got to tell the broker, listen, Jack, it's not me that needs the financials. We got to give it to the lender. We got to give it to Fannie, to Freddie, to Greystone, to Arbor, to whoever. They're going to need financials.
Okay.
So why don't we cut the BS and tell me what's going on? Because if they don't have financials, I'm going to give them an offer that is equivalent or relevant to a property that has no financials. So if they're asking $10 million and they don't have financials, guess what? You don't have financials on a $10 million, you don't have financials on a $5 million property? Great. I'm going to give you $2 million because there's
Okay.
going to be so much work and the lenders, and we're going to have to redo the financials and recreate them and do all this. And there's obviously, and as you can see, I'm very straightforward with people. I don't hide shit. So when I talk to the brokers, I'm like, dude, what are they hiding? Tell me now before we go on. Oh, I don't know. Listen, be straight up with me because we're going to find out. Because this doesn't make sense. 12 months, the unit's been vacant.
Actually,
Why? Okay, they haven't done this, they haven't done that, they haven't done that. What's going on here? What? And that's one thing that I always talk to the brokers when they send me a property. I go, what's the story?
I actually
What's
talked
the
directly
story?
to the seller. The seller went through the whole 9 years for years with the brother, the son-in-law manages because they have money, they sell the business, they have money to buy into it with $100 million. They just buy into it for
Right.
just thinking for building wealth. But they couldn't manage it for years. They let someone else do for them. And they're like, at this point to sell it because right now it's more headache than really manage
So
them.
then,
They have
then-
no idea whatsoever at this
so
point.
then you sit down with the broker and you talk to the broker the same way you would talk to the, you sit down with the owner and you talk to them the same way you would with the broker. Man, listen, I understand you bought this property, you sold your business, you bought this, you wanted your kids to have a job and blah, blah, blah and whatnot. That's great. I get it. You didn't want to deal with the property. I totally understand. However, if I'm going to buy this from you and I'm going to go out and I'm going to get a loan, this is how it works. I'm going to go out to a bank, to a lender, to a hard money lender. Anybody's going to lend on this property, they're going to ask me for two things. Your 12-month income and expense report and your current rent roll. If you don't have that, that's okay. We're going to have to adjust the purchase price to match the situation that we're in. So you can do one of two things. You can cut your price by 50% or get me your financials.
Thank you so much, Fran.
Thank you so much for that.
our time
Appreciate
is
that.
fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do have to wrap up right now. Nitzan, thank you so much. We appreciate
much.
coming on here. Lots of nuggets. Everyone, if you got, if you got some value from this, send it in the chat, show him in the chat. Also post a takeaway on the WhatsApp group or the Facebook group. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. We did put your contact information in the chat as well for folks who want to
Awesome.
contact you. Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you.
And you know, one of our businesses, before we go, one of the big things in our business is networking. So my team and I, we're putting on a very exclusive networking event. It's called Nautical Networking. We've got a 150-foot yacht sailing out of Miami, February 29th. Okay. And it's only $50 to get on the boat. Free drinks all night, free
Where?
food, dancing. It's February. I'm gonna put here the
Please
link to
put it.
register. I'm sorry.
Put it. We need to say
Yeah.
it. We need to.
It's right there, and this is our third nautical networking event that we've put on. Industry professionals. Let me see. ntnnauticalnetworking.com. It's going to be a great evening. Music, dancing, food, drinks, all open bar the whole night. It's going to be 4 hours on the Intercoastal out of Miami. We start at 7. We get back at 11. We're still working on doing a pre-party and an after party. We'll give more information on that on the boat for people that are on the boat. But we're gonna have the CPAs that we use, the attorneys that we use, lenders that we use, the title companies that we use. All of our vendors are going to be there for you to network and build relationships with. High net worth individuals will be there for you to network and connect with if you're going to raise capital. Brokers are going to be there that we work with to build relationships with to get you into the best deals possible. This is an event you don't want to miss. You want to make sure it's very exclusive. You got to register, you got to be paid so that you can get on that boat. So, you know, it's right there, mtnnauticalnetworking.com.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was awesome. You should have led with that. Amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Dan.
ladies, for having me.
Thank
All right.
you so much, Nitzan. Thank you.
All right, guys, we just want to share what is coming up next week. And then we will take it out from there. Bibi, hold on, because I feel my thing is going to develop seizures again. Let's see. Let's try this. All right. So, before we do show what's happening next week, just wanted to share that Bibi and I, we don't bite. We are growing. We'd love to meet more people, more partners. You know, we do have a decent deal flow going on. So if you're ready to jump into multifamily investing, obviously you are, because that's why you're here. You are all either current asset managers or budding asset managers. But if you'd love to partner with us, do reach out. Our markets are Pennsylvania, Texas. We look at Class B and C assets, 50 to 200 units. We acquire either through JV or syndication. Our Calendly links are there for you. So I'd love to hear from you. Bibi, you want to talk about what's going on next week?
Yes, we recently gave out distributions on this deal, and this deal, we closed on it 5 months ago. Let me emphasize more about our deals. All our deals are doing well. And just like what Nitzan said, when you buy right, you read early and right. So this is one of the deals we did last year, and we closed in August 24th, and we're giving our investors the 4th distribution last week, Thursday. We'll be giving a second one next week because we were able to really pump out the juice from this property. And some of you, from popular demand, some of you reached out to us, to Ofiri to be specific, and said, we would like to know from the beginning to the end of how you went about this deal. How did you purchase it? How did you get to this level on it and all that? So we will be doing a case study on this. and we're breaking down from the acquisition part to the point where we brought in our property manager, to the point the lender, all the challenges we had on it, the team issues to some extent, what was who were the team members, and we will not go in depth into that, but the challenges that you should expect on some of your deals and all that, we're going to go into it in depth. And this was one of the deals we also brought to Nitzan. Nitzan, I know you cannot remember, we wanted you to keep you on this and you said no, but anyways, so we're going to tell you the story about that as well. So many things to talk about on this deal, and we're looking forward to having you guys on our next week call, and we hope that you're taking some knowledge and some things you can apply, because one of the things we want to do is to ensure that you don't make the mistakes we've made or make your process faster than ours. You don't have to go through the merry-go-round before you have a successful deal. That's not what we want for you. We want it easy. So that's why we're taking our time to tell you, this is how I would say it's now your turn, or it's now up to you to say, I want to go the long route or the shorter route. Thank you, Ify.
Awesome. So that will be, so next Monday is an activation Zoom. And so it would be the following Monday. That's when that would be happening. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Nitzan. Thank you for everyone. Thank you, Lisa. That was a great breath of fresh air with what you shared. If you guys do have questions that we didn't get to, I'm sorry I couldn't keep up with the chat to an extent. Drop it in the WhatsApp. We share the WhatsApp barcode. It's QR code, sorry. Or you can send us an email or book a call with us. We don't bite. We're very, very happy to see you guys, and we love sharing all the information that we can. So thank you for coming, and see you guys next week.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adios, thank you.